Liverpool start to stutter as Manchester United start putting the pressure on. Welcome to Talk Football. I am your host with the most, Tinashe. It's been a while. Well, actually, no, it's not been a while. It's been about a week, actually. But we're back. Well, I say we, joined as ever by my co-hosts, Shihab and Adam Nabi. How's it going, guys? Starting with you, Nabi.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yep,
Oh.
going okay. Yep, I'm
Sorry,
first. Take it, Shihab.
You just heard the little from Shihab. You just sounded so sad. Sorry, mate. But yeah, sorry about last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about you, Shabs? I was actually just about to move on,
I'm
but
good. I'm doing well. Yeah, lockdown's just kicked in, so yeah, great times
yeah,
for all of us.
yeah, exactly, for all of us. So we're back into full lockdown again.
But elite football is going to continue.
Yeah,
the
though
pod
we saw
continues.
Sky Sports reporting today that Premier League has announced that there were 14 new cases. Excuse me, 14 new cases that were announced of the last round of testing. So that kind of brings a bit of
I
a
think if it
grey
continues to
cloud.
escalate,
Yeah, I was gonna say it brings a bit of a grey cloud. But yeah, it's not started raining yet. So yeah, football continues. We continue. We're also in the transfer window, the January transfer window, open on the 2nd, up until the first day of February. So yeah, pretty sure we might sort of touch on club improvements, transfers as we're sort of chatting through each of our respective teams: Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. If you didn't know. But before we kick off, as usual, we will put our socials in the description. So please make sure you follow, you like, and you interact. We do not buy. I always say this now. Reiterated, I promise you, we do not bite. So yeah, we'll have our socials in the descriptions for our Instagram and our Twitter. I think we're Shihab and I are most mainly active on Twitter. So you can find us there. Any questions? If you think my opinion is rubbish, or if you think Shihab's opinion is rubbish, or Nabi's opinion is rubbish, yeah, let us know. We'd like to get into the discussion with you. But to kick off now, we're going to do a double review with this pod because we didn't have a review pod last week. So we're going to review, in the sense of Arsenal, we'll be reviewing the Brighton game and the West Brom game. And for Shihab, it'll be a painful look back at the Southampton game,
Newcastle game,
and the Newcastle game, yeah. And for Nabi,
yeah,
he'll be cheesing because they continue getting penalties as he looks back at the Aston Villa game and the Wolves game. Yeah. Well, to be fair, with the Wolves game, there was no penalty. Just to clarify, it was a strike from strike from Rashford. But yeah. Anyway, to jump into it, we'll start off with the Manchester United. Nabi, with I guess kicking off with the Wolves game. How did you? To be honest, before I pass it over to you, I had this weird feeling sort of watching the game that United were going to score. Obviously, as a fan, you probably didn't feel that. You were probably just feeling the stress. But I just kind of had that itching feeling like they're going to get a goal here. And obviously, inevitably, Rashford took the shot. It was a bit harsh in football, but you make your own luck. I guess that's the same football. So what were your thoughts overall in terms of the starting lineup and the performance overall?
I am trying to remember the starting lineup. I think it was pretty standard. De Gea in goals, normal back four. I think Kelly started actually that game at left back, but that was the new combination of Bain and Maguire, which I really like. I think it's more solid than Lindelof and Maguire. And I think that should be their first choice partnership going forward. But Bailly has to keep himself fit. He's kind of like our Matip. He keeps getting injured. So if he can keep fit, that's a good combination. I think the rest, I think Matic played in midfield in this one. Pogba and Bruno.
Does he not normally play in midfield?
No, he seems to be rotating. It's either Matic or McTominay. And McTominay and Fred are in for the bigger games, and the other games you'll go Matic. So I think this one he went Matic because I think they did have 1 or 2 extra rest days in Wolves, and Wolves did. The Wolves it was a very defensive performance for them. It was basically when United tried to break down the Wolves wall, and they did struggle. And Wolves maybe had 1 or 2. They mainly had like long distance
You should maybe buy Thiago. He'll help open up
shots,
fences.
but it was mainly a lot of defending from them. Yeah, it was mainly just try to get that elusive goal, and then it came right at the end through a very handy deflection, which you could say was unlucky for Wolves. But then, if you are just gonna defend mainly, then these things can happen.
That's the thing. That's what I was saying in the sense that you kind of make your own luck. They played well defensively, but like you're saying, didn't off too much. I would say, attacking wise.
Yeah, can't remember any big chances that they had. Yeah, so there wasn't really much to that game apart from United just nicking that late goal. And then came the tougher game against Aston Villa, in which you went McTominay and Fred. And what was the start? The starting lineup was, I think it was Shaw at left back. Because Shaw's actually been doing really well. Because he brought Shaw on in the second half against Wolves. Because Tellez, I think his strength is like his crossing, but his crossing has been quite poor.
Okay.
Was it the Wolves game where they asked?
No, I think it was
the
the Villa game. Was it not that Shaw came on?
Sure, Shaw started the Villa because I remember in the Wolves game they had a specific tactic. You could see it was always Maguire get the ball, pass it to Tellez, and Tellez would try and put in a cross. They seemed to have made up their mind that that's what their tactic was going to be, and that didn't really work out. So he brought on Shaw.
What is it with teams trying
Shaw.
to cross footballs all of a sudden? Because Arteta tried it for a brief period, and you're seeing Chelsea now going on ahead as well, doing the same thing. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, well, Arteta's method is cross from anywhere. This was like a specific cross from the left-hand side for some reason.
Well, because your right back can't cross, so you can only cross from the from the left-hand side.
Well, yeah, but then going on to the next game, he produces a cross.
1 in a million.
Lands beautifully on Maguire's head. Not Maguire, Martial's head. After the great Mings couldn't get himself to it.
2.
So they got themselves at that deserved 1-0 lead, and then Wan-Bissaka a bit slow on the quick free kick so they got themselves the equaliser. But it was going to be a tough game. Villa are a good team. I mean, teams struggled to beat Aston Villa.
They thumped us 3-0 at home. So you're right.
They're not thump another team as well.
I was just talking about my team. I don't want people thinking that I'm taking shots at their teams. So I was just talking about my teams. If he wants to come in and say anything, that's up to him. I'm only talking about my team. But yeah, to be fair, even watching the game, it was actually quite an entertaining game to watch as well as neutral.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game of football as well. Both teams attacked well. Both teams looked like they were going to create chances, and in the end, a soft penalty won it.
Yeah.
I think if there was a draw, I don't think you would argue with it.
Nah, that's true.
No, but yeah, probably not. But it wouldn't have been a disaster either drawing to Aston Villa or this Aston Villa.
No, it wouldn't be. I'm just saying in terms of the way the game went, I think a draw would have been.
Without the cheating, the draw probably was the first result.
Without Pogba tripping himself up.
After he was knocked by
the slightest of touches.
Not
It wasn't.
like
It,
Penalty
like
was.
it's one of those situations where if the referee doesn't give it, VAR agree with the ref, and if the referee does give it, VAR's not overturning it either. It's one of those where VAR wasn't going to do anything, was it? That was you could
Yeah.
tell the moment it happened that if the ref had said no penalty, I don't think VAR would have turned that over either, and that says it all, doesn't it?
Well,
It's a soft
it says
penalty.
that it wasn't blatant enough to not overturn like the Tierney one should have been, I think.
Hey, Tierney felt the contact.
To be
and
fair,
went
I
down.
don't think there was any more contact in that one than it was in the Tierney one. I don't think there was hardly any difference. We'll come on to the Liverpool Southampton game, but I don't think the Walker Peters challenge of Mane was any different either. So consistency would help.
They're all
Yeah.
different. They're not the same.
Yeah. Also,
One's a
someone made a good
clear
point
dive.
someone did make a good point that okay, fair enough. Like with the Mane one, I hear what you're saying, Shab. But the thing is, you want the referees to get the decisions consistently right, not consistently wrong. So if the United one was a wrong decision, then they've made the right decision here. They can't go back and change the United penalty. They just have to sort of move on from that.
But the mistakes are constantly being made with the United penalties and then rectified with everyone else's.
Yeah,
So
I
can't
can't argue that one.
Another
I can't argue
soft
that one, to be
like,
fair.
it's fine consistency, but
And to be
next
fair
week,
as
I'm
well,
sure you'll see another soft penalty
one thing
given,
that's
so it's not
also
helping.
becoming almost evident is that United players are playing to get penalties. Made
Pogba's hand signals.
I was just about to say mainly emphasized by Pogba's instruction to Shaw, saying to him, "You should have dived." Like, how are you going to openly gesture to your teammate on the field while still playing that you should have dived? That's
At least
if it's something that teams discuss.
Speak to him, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
if it's something that you discuss in the changing room at the fair enough, but then to openly gesture to your teammate on the field while the game is still playing that dive, you should have gone down, dive, like that's for me that's completely wrong.
Shocking, isn't it? It's
Yeah, that is
He
cool.
wasn't telling him to dive. He was telling him should have low cross, put in a low cross. That's what he was saying.
To who?
To Shaw, he's saying put in a low cross.
So somehow the signal for a dive has suddenly become the same signal for a low cross.
It's just gotten mixed up. That's all it is.
But yeah, that's completely
backing those actions, Naby, is very disappointing.
Yeah, completely not.
They're not playing to dive in the box. They're just because they get themselves in the box.
No, okay. Quick question though. On a serious note though, like, don't you think that? Because the thing is, if I was a United fan, that would be worrying me. Is that
no, they're not doing it any more than any other.
I haven't even asked the question. I haven't even asked the question yet. I literally haven't even asked the question. Yeah, like I was gonna say,
go on.
Would you not be a little bit worried in the sense that your numbers without the penalties under Ole, it's like I was saying to you in the group chat, like it's not great reading. Most of your wins or crucial goals that you're getting are from penalties. If you take those penalties away, you're not up where you are currently at the moment.
No, because then you're just assuming that they won't create other attacks.
No, it's not that I'm assuming. It's not.
Goal.
We've discussed how important the first goal or how important a goal that gives you the leaders before, or a goal in the last minute, or especially in this case, immediately after Aston Villa score, you get a penalty, which was extremely soft.
Yeah, but you can't say just because if they don't get these penalties, they don't get a goal.
Okay, in this instant, you can also say that without getting the penalty, they're going to score for sure. Because in the example of the Villa game, they didn't score after that penalty. Did they create many chances after that penalty either?
Yeah, Pogba had one with a cutback which he missed.
Exactly, he missed. He didn't score.
Just went wide. Yeah, but if
he didn't even hit the target. It didn't even hit the target, so that doesn't even count as a decent chance.
Yeah, but if they were still at 1-1, they would have put more emphasis on getting that second goal. But because they'd already
which then would have opened them up a little bit to Villa's counter-attack. So it works both ways. A double-edged sword. putting more onus and trying to get a goal also means you're opening up a little bit more at the back.
Not necessarily. Not. They didn't have to be. It could, because they were created chances anyway. It's not like they just suddenly had to.
No, but a lot of
these
penalties are changing the momentum of the
Yeah,
game.
this is the point that I'm trying to make. It's not like you're three.
Scored, so they were on the attack. They had the momentum, and the penalty completely stopped that momentum.
It's not like you're 3-0 up and then you get a penalty, or you're 4-0 up and then you get a penalty, or you're cruising the game, and then if that was the situation that you're getting your penalties in, it wouldn't even be a discussion. But you're getting penalties that are getting you crucial goals at crucial times in matches. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And if you take away those penalties, I'll try. I saw a stat in the table that was showing that without your penalties, I'll try and see where I can get. I can't remember the position. I don't want to say if it ends up being wrong, but you wouldn't be in the top 3. I think it was without your penalties currently this season.
But the penalties come from attack and play and being fouled in the box. They're not giving the penalties to themselves.
But the thing that we're making is how
sometimes
how
that's the problem.
How extremely. Because this is why I think now you're just looking at it through a bias, and you're not wanting to admit that a lot of the penalties that
you're looking at it the other way. You're just the agenda that United.
No, I'm not looking at it in the sense of if you look at all the penalties that Arsenal have given away or have been given, I can openly tell you that was a penalty. But you right now, he's not diving. That's a or you're not accepting it. Okay, fair enough. That shouldn't have been a penalty. That shouldn't have been a penalty. You're just almost, your defense is immediately, well, we might have created more chances. That's a might. You don't know that for certain. But that penalty, being a soft penalty, which shouldn't have been a penalty, shifted the momentum of the game.
Well, I think there's a difference between a soft penalty and not being a penalty.
Okay, and not being a penalty.
So you're saying that's not a penalty? That is a penalty?
I'm saying it's exactly what you said. Once the referee's given it, VAR's not going to overturn
that's
it.
Not what
that's not what he's asking you. He's asking
exactly. I'm not asking you what you feel VAR does. I'm asking you whether you think it's a penalty or not.
I think he was right to give it as a penalty, yes.
Wow.
Exactly, proving my point that you're being if you're referencing this in the Tierney incident where I blatantly said to you that the Tierney one was not a penalty, and you're saying it's in the sort of the same ilk, which you just said a couple of minutes ago, and now you're coming on here and saying, you're saying that there is
contact wasn't enough.
You want to take contact out of football?
Tierney said,
because that's what it means.
I could actually, you could see Tierney got the contact from Reece James's knee and went down, but for me it wasn't a penalty still. So the contact was there.
Made his own contact.
So did
the
Pogba.
Contact was there. Look, Tierney might have helped make that contact, but so did Reece James. And like I said about the Kane stuff, Kane always makes those sort of things happen. But you were adamant Tierney's wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, because Tierney went into the other player. This wasn't a case of Pogba going into the Aston Villa player. The
Aston Villa player didn't go into him either. They just ran alongside each other.
No, he did.
There was a slight touch of pace.
He didn't, Naby. He really didn't. He really didn't. But yeah, no. I guess this.
So would you say the Mane one was a penalty from yesterday?
No, he's gonna say no. Obviously,
but Carragher's even said himself.
He's asking you.
I'm asking what you're saying.
It's not apparently because there wasn't enough for him to
go down.
It wasn't a foul, and it wasn't fouled.
For what reason was it not a foul? There was contact.
And according to you, if there is contact and Walker Peters actually made movement towards Mane, whereas Luiz didn't make any movement towards Pogba. But for you, you're convinced Pogba's was a penalty.
He went. Luiz went into
his arms. If you're talking about his upper body, yeah, he made it. In terms of his arms, he did, but in terms of his legs, he was running alongside Pogba.
Yeah, and he nicked his leg, which made Pogba's leg trip him to himself.
Kyle Walker Peters. Kyle Walker Peters went into Mane.
In the direction of Mane.
Trying to get the ball. He didn't get the ball. He didn't even pull out of the tackle, and then Mane went down. But I don't understand how that's then not a penalty. But this is.
It's not enough of a penalty to give it from VAR because the referee didn't give it in the same
But
way.
we're not.
United-
No, but
Okay,
we're talking about VAR
I-
overturning. We're saying whether the initial thoughts is a penalty or not.
Yeah, I think the one thing we need to clarify.
Discuss whether VAR would overturn it.
Yeah, we're not talking about what VAR is doing and not doing. We're talking about your bias towards your team right now. Well, in my view, anyway.
I think the Mane one could have been given, but probably shouldn't have been.
But my point is, you're saying the Pogba one was, yet the Mane one wasn't.
Based on the fact that there was contact.
Your own opinion is that Mane's wasn't a penalty and Pogba's was. That's your own personal opinion. I don't get how you come to that opinion.
The Mane
If anything, Mane's
there
one
was-
was more of a penalty, in my opinion, than that one was.
Because the Mane one, they're both running in the same direction.
So is Pogba and
Walker Peters
Luis.
was running lunged in. So if anything, Walker Peters moved in the direction of Mane. He didn't run alongside.
Yeah, they were running alongside. He made an attempt to get the ball and then kind of pulled out a bit.
But in that attempt, he left his leg there. He didn't pull out. He left his leg.
He didn't
stood
leave
there.
it like they normally do, right in the way. It was kind of half.
No, it was in
there.
the way because it caught Mane's back leg. So Mane just got in front in his back leg because Walker Peters' leg was left there. Mane's back leg caught Walker Peters' leg, and that's what Carragher's point was. So Carragher was saying, "Well, Mane technically went into him," and I'm looking back at it, and I was like, Mane's went straight across, and Walker Peters' lunge went in between Mane's legs, and Mane's back leg caught him. So how is that?
Mane
not
initiates the contact with his leg into Walker Peters. The Luis one.
No.
Mane just carried on his run. He didn't initiating the contact makes it look like Mane went in Walker Peters' direction. It changed his path. Mane just made a straight run. It's Walker Peters' lunge in that caused the contact. Whether
if Walker Peters doesn't lunge,
or not,
there's no contact there.
Initiated the contact by making
no, but Walker Peters went in for the ball, stopped, didn't make any lunge towards Mane. Mane then goes into him with the Luis when Luis goes in to Pogba.
That is pure bias.
I'm literally watching the replay now. He doesn't go into Luis he doesn't go into Pogba at all. Now they're running alongside each other. And the Luis's arms are on Pogba's body, but in terms of the clip, it's almost like Pogba flicks out his left leg to clip Luis so that he goes down because he knows he's gonna get a penalty, which makes it worse, especially because however long it was before he was telling Luke Shaw dive to get a penalty.
You're saying Pogba dived?
No, I'm not saying he dived. But I'm just saying it makes it worse. I'm saying it makes it worse that he'd done that earlier to Luke Shaw, and then he goes and does that. But yeah, I think we've.
So are you saying it's the dive or not?
He tripped himself up
after Luis nudges him.
No.
That's what. In my point of view is if you determine that a penalty, he must then not touch a player in the box anymore.
Yeah, that's essentially
go near him.
What I'm saying.
Keep your social distance. At this point, if that's a penalty,
the contact was enough for Pogba to fall over.
Pogba's a big man.
Mane.
Pogba's a big man. It was not enough for Pogba to fall over. You're really fishing here.
It's not.
You know, you're talking about a big dude. You're not talking about Philip Coutinho here or Dan James.
I'm not saying he wasn't pushed, like he was nudged in the top and his legs nudged, so he ended up tripping up himself. Because if that's outside the box, that's still a foul.
I'm not sure it would be given as a foul.
My point still stands. If you're giving Pogba's, in your opinion, if you're giving Pogba's, you're giving Mane.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of seeing the double standards a little bit from you, Nabi, there in terms of.
You either give both or you say no to both.
Yeah. You can't say one's a penalty and the other isn't. Like that's a bit of a double standard in that view. In my view,
they're not the exact same thing though.
But they're not. But if anything, Mane's was more of a penalty than the Pogba one. Yes, I can agree. I can understand Mane's not being given, and it would be soft. But like I said, consistency. There's no consistency. And clearly your opinion suggests that even in the thought and the mentality of it all, there's no consistency.
No, but I think
It's not just an
It's the
error on the
same.
pitch.
It's the same for both. One was given, and it wasn't going to be overturned. There was one. Other one wasn't given, and it wasn't going to be
Yeah, I
overturned
can
either.
accept that. I can accept that it was one was given and one wasn't. I can accept the referee made an instant call, but you're not the ref making a call in the moment. You're a person who's looking back after replays of both and
All
still
the
thinking
times.
that one's a penalty and the other's not. That's my point. My point isn't the
I
issue
can
of
see
the ref.
why the way the angle was and the way he saw it. You could see why the Pogba one wasn't, because Luis goes into Pogba at the angle, and the other one
He
is Walker
doesn't
Peters
go
and
into
Mane running
Pogba.
side by side.
He literally does not
If
go into
anything,
Pogba.
Walker Peters goes into Mane's pathway. You might not say he made initial contact straight away with his lunge, but he went in an angle to cut Mane off to try and get the ball. So if anything, Walker Peters was more of a trying to get into Mane's path rather than Douglas Luiz and Pogba. That was just two players running next to each other with the ball and the legs slightly touched. Like the slightest of touches, and obviously Pogba then tripped himself up and went down. Like, I can accept that it's happened, and the referees looked at it and made the decision that it's a penalty, and then VAR, the way VAR works, it's not there to overturn unless it's obvious, and it's clearly decided it's not in the realms of clear and obvious to overturn and say no penalty. My point is, in your own opinion, Pogba's is a penalty and Mane's one isn't, and that's what I wouldn't agree with. But
Walker
we
Peters,
won't
Mane, when
agree,
the
will
ball
we?
is in front with the other one, Pogba has the ball with him.
I'd say watch it again, and then you can, based on your opinion of the Mane one, I'd say you haven't watched it clearly enough. But we'll disagree. But
Well, yeah, there's no point in going on more about this.
I mean, do you guys think?
Well, what I would say in positive note about United, I'll say one positive thing. I'd say they are playing well, and they're finding a way to grind out results. Whether that's like the Wolves way, where they just keep attacking and obviously make their own luck and make it happen. And you deserve your luck when those kind of things happen, because Liverpool's done it plenty of times, especially last season. And then other tight games are helped by certain decisions that, it's one of those things. But United are making it work. I wouldn't say they're running away with their games. That's the one thing that I'd say gives hope to others, that there's such tight games that it could easily go the other way, if you know what I mean. So there could be games around the corner where United have a close game with another team, and this time it goes the other way. Like, they're not performances where you can see United running away and getting point after point every week, but they're definitely on a good run of form.
Because what they're doing in the tight games is they're either just winning it or not losing it, which I think is the important thing.
Yeah, right now they're not losing them, and sometimes it's a good play, sometimes it's soft decisions that's helping.
Dare I say the sign
And
of champions?
This is
United's
United's moment to have that period of getting decisions their way in tight games. Every
This
team's
is the
had
thing
it
to
in
be.
the
I was gonna
past.
say this is the thing to be honest.
They're
Like,
getting it right now.
the huge uproar happening now, it's gonna cause referees to start having a double look at United players now whenever they go down in the box, because everyone's talking about it.
Well,
that
it's
whole
not had a long enough look, because in 2 years they've had thousands of penalties.
yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a very good point. The most of any team.
Stat that came out since Klopp's been at Liverpool. Liverpool have had more penalties than United.
In Klopp's 5 years, Liverpool have had 30, and in Solskjaer's 2 years,
They've had 42.
Solskjaer's had 32.
Is it 32?
42.
It's 42. I'm sure. Yeah.
I've seen different stats, but Solskjaer's definitely at least very close or just ahead.
Yeah, I think.
But that's in
2 years.
That's in 2 years compared to Klopp's 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's what Klopp mentioned in his interview. I don't think he should have.
Nah, he's baiting himself out to be laughed at.
Like, what about the other teams that have had more penalties? I mean, Leicester have had more penalties, haven't they? Man City have had more
No,
penalties.
Jamie Vardy, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah, Leicester have had the most in the last calendar year or something, I think. A lot of teams have had more than us, to be fair, but yeah, moving on. We've spoken too much about United, to be honest.
It was a bit, I think it was a bit Rafa-esque, that rant.
No, because if you the full interview, it was like one moment of the interview. Rafa rant is a whole half an hour on facts.
Yeah, that's the
I
only
wouldn't
thing
call
missing
it
for that Klopp.
Rafa-esque.
The only thing missing from that Klopp thing was him saying, and that's facts.
No, but as in like Rafa literally outlined like hundred facts of issues with United. Klopp literally made one quick statement alongside a general analysis of the whole performance, which didn't involve United. It's just that one sentence that mentioned United. So yeah, I wouldn't call it Rafa. So you're taking too far
It
with
was
that.
obviously on his mind, though. They had to bring it up.
No, United will be on Klopp's mind. Obviously, they're challenging for the title.
Oh, he said it. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
You heard it here first.
Well, United
has
fans might
said
not
it.
say it, but if you're
No, Shabs.
second
United
place, or
fans
joint
are
top, as you want to
United fans are all over Twitter saying, "Oh, they're challenging." They are all over. Give it 2 weeks, right? A couple bad results, and then they'll be back to all out again.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's swings and
Dude,
roundabouts.
who was it? Gary Neville said it perfectly, actually, after the Chelsea City game, when he was talking to Martin Tyler, and he was said, "Look, at the start of the season, it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, and then soon after, it was Arteta out, and now it looks like it's Frank Lampard is about to take the reins, so that it's Frank Lampard out." So yeah,
We've also had like 4 teams challenging us for the title.
yeah.
We've had
Yeah.
Everton right at the beginning,
Yeah.
Chelsea, then we had Spurs, and now it's United.
Yeah. Yeah.
City are obviously there in the background.
Dude, the thing is,
Liverpool, City will always be up there.
I think all this chaos happening at the top is helping City, because if you look at it, right, they're not being spectacular, but they're getting business done quietly.
They're going under the radar, yeah.
Yeah, they're getting business.
Under the radar.
They're getting business done quietly. We're getting results 1-0, 0-0.
Do you know what it is? And with those game in hand, they're looking like they're 6th or 7th. But actually, if you take those game in hands into account, expecting them to win it, they would actually put themselves like 2nd or 1st.
Yeah.
2nd, I think. So
yeah,
they're quietly going about their business. Weirdly, for what stature of club they are right now after the last 4 or 5 years.
If United can get even a point against Burnley, would this not be
United go like, top?
Yeah, but have Liverpool had a gap to the top and been overtaken in this period where all these other teams have competed?
We've had a gap to the top.
No, but have Liverpool been top and then not been top in this period where other teams have been in there? Or just the first time Liverpool have actually been overtaken?
Southampton were top at one point. Southampton.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
were
Liverpool top before they were?
I don't think we were, actually.
So would this be the first time Liverpool, having been top, would actually be overtaken?
I'm not saying. We might have had a week on top. It's been so topsy-turvy and all over the place. We may have had the odd week on top.
I feel like there was a time when Tottenham were on top, and you guys, especially that period when I wasn't able to make it on the pod, then you guys were going on and on about them, and I was like, guys, just give it time. I'm pretty sure around about that period they were top for a spell, and then
so Tottenham were top for a spell. This has definitely been Liverpool's spell. I don't know if we've had like the odd week on top though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but before
we would have had early on in the season. We would have had some point maybe. But yeah, it might be. It might be the first time that we've been overtaken. If that's your question, it possibly is. Becoming a big game on the 17th, isn't it? Especially if United win against Burnley.
Massive game.
Yes.
Absolutely massive. Yeah. And yeah.
How's Arsenal doing, anyways? Do we want to talk about Arsenal?
You've had enough of.
We spent way too much time with that. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal are doing well.
To be fair, since the Chelsea game,
let off their leashes, haven't they?
Yeah. Even Arteta said as well the classic Wenger quote. You know, that the players are now playing with the handbrake off mentally.
The handbrake that he put on.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
get that.
that's
I
my
didn't get
fault.
that.
When he said that, that was my fault. My fault is he put the handbrake on.
Yeah, I don't
So
get.
it's
He
funny
said the
that he's now
players.
saying it as if he solved the problem.
The problem, yeah.
But
But
he
he
said
solved an issue that he created.
no. But he said the players took the handbrake, as if they were deciding themselves to not attack. And
No,
then they
I
decided
think,
maybe they should attack.
on the pitch, I'm not trying to defend him here. I'm just throwing out ideas as to what I think he meant or could be the case. Is that on the pitch, if you look at the players that we had, Willian that were playing at the time, Willian, Pepe, etc., etc. They weren't playing well. Their numbers weren't great. They were playing a lot of regressive football, turning back a lot. But then since Emil Smith-Rowe's come in, Saka's been playing well. Or to be fair, Saka's been playing well pretty much most of the season anyway. Smith-Rowe's come in, Martinelli's come in. One thing he has said a lot about Martinelli, and to be fair, not even saying it, we've seen it, is he's a very high energy, high press kind of guy. So against Chelsea, he used that to our advantage, to put Chelsea under a lot of pressure at the back. And we played a high line, and now we're playing a high. I think a lot of it, as well as I've mentioned, it's a lot to do with personnel rather than, because at the moment David Luiz hasn't been playing. Out of our centre backs, I think he potentially one of the slowest. It's been Mari and Holding that have been playing. And we've been playing
Partnership's working quite well, haven't they?
yeah, we've been playing a much higher line than previously. So I do, for me, I do get what you guys are saying, but then at the same time, I do think a lot of it is to do with personnel. Having said that, I don't think the whole personnel thing is all down to him. I think an element of it is luck with the whole COVID thing that happened with Willian, David Luiz, and Gabriel as well. So I think it was almost like he was forced to.
That would be my one concern about him, to be honest, because you wonder whether if they were still available, how would have still done it. Because, for example, Smith-Rowe doing wonders now in that number 10.
Yep.
From what I've seen, a lot of Arsenal fans had been calling it for
a while. Yeah, to be fair,
like, he's an obvious number 10. He's his natural.
That's his natural position. Yeah.
Use him. Like, it's so desperate right now. Why haven't you used him yet? Like, what can you lose? You're dropping down the table rapidly.
Yeah.
And now he's suddenly done it, and suddenly the results are turning. Obviously Martinelli was injured, so that's not his fault. But yeah, like Smith-Rowe seems to have changed things, and if he's forced into it, it's just a bit like very lucky for him, but it's a concern about his like.
It is a concern, but then one also thing I would say,
fans called it, like fans saw it obviously. So how has he not seen it?
well, one thing I will say with Emil Smith-Rowe, which is why I would sort of still want Arsenal to get an attacking midfielder, is he's very injury prone. So I don't know whether that's got anything to do with why there was a delay in playing him, because the thing is,
wasn't he playing in Europe though? Like he was playing the midweek games,
he'd only played 2 games in Europe. Well, I think about a game and a half actually, not 2 games, about a game and a half since he got back from injury in Europe. So to then suddenly but then again, having said that, again, which another thing which then sort of backs him up is that it showed an incredible level of trust to start him against Chelsea, because even in that game. He's still.
But you'll think in our heads it must be like finally you've done. Yeah, what you've done,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I do see what you're saying though. In terms of like, it is a little bit concerning in terms of his stubbornness. But one thing I will say though is that he's changed it. It's worked, and he's sticking with it. Luiz and Willian are back, but he hasn't put them straight back into the team, which was what my fear was, that the moment these guys come back, he's just gonna slot them straight back into the team and then bench. Smith-Rowe and Pablo Mari.
He'd be digging his own grave.
He really would be.
Imagine with Saka's form, imagine he just put Willian in and they lost. Like, that's digging your own grave for Arsenal fans. You can get toxic.
No, to be fair, I think if he did that, I would have flipped the coin and said, I would have been like, no, it's quit. He needs to go. But yeah, Brighton game, we made one change, brought Aubameyang back in. Which was okay. I understand, obviously, because Martinelli's just come back from a long time off with a massive injury. So yeah, I wasn't too sort of torn up to pieces about that. And one thing I would say, there's still some Arsenal fans are now sort of calling for Aubameyang's head, not worried, not really racing. And one thing I will say, I was worried before, sort of the Chelsea game period. Well, he didn't play the Chelsea since after the Chelsea, but since then, Aubameyang, he's now getting back into those areas. He's getting those chances that we used to give him, that we were providing him with before. Whereas when we were going through that horrible period, he just wasn't getting chances at all. Like, I don't know if you remember the Brighton game, the keeper made a fantastic save from Aubameyang point blank, which Oba really should have scored. But to be fair, he did everything right, kept the ball low, hit the target, but the keeper just made an outstanding save. And even against West Brom as well, he had quite a few. He's getting into the positions where we expect him to be, where we want him to be. So I think it's just one of those, in terms of the goals, they will come with him now. Because even in the Brighton game, I was saying that, you know, it's getting to the point where he was trying too hard. And even the players as well on the pitch, you could tell they were trying to get...
trying to get him that goal.
Yeah, they were trying hard to get him to get that goal. But yeah...
I think the good thing for Arsenal, though, is like there's a lot of threat like down that right-hand side with Saka right now. Mm-hmm. And with Martinelli back, who's clearly very effective off the left, you're actually a lot less reliant on Aubameyang now.
Yeah, this is where I'm a little bit worried.
I think that helps a lot, because it became like an Aubameyang team.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think Arsenal fans, or well, you'd be able to speak about it, but like as an Arsenal fan, if I was looking at it, I'd be quite confident that without Aubameyang and making sure that Martinelli's fit, you'd still have a very good chance and be very confident in winning games.
Do you remember the start of the season, what we were saying, what Klopp did? He pretty much just overloaded our left-hand side where Aubameyang was, and then that pretty much just shut us out the whole game. Like, we had nothing else to offer in terms of the game, and which is what teams started to do. Whereas now, like you're saying, we're offering threat from both flanks, which is encouraging. And, you know, we have a £72 million, I guess some Arsenal fans like to call, problem in Pepe, and we've got an academy kid who's showing to be what we expected Pepe to be, or what we hoped Pepe to be, that we got for free, playing now, because the last two games is played on the right hand side, which is the position that Pepe plays. And then you've got Martinelli against Brighton, who was on the left, and against West Brom it was Aubameyang coming off the left.
Basically, you got a £72 million backup, and you got an old guard of Chelsea's, where you're paying like probably 200,000 in wages as third backup.
Well, in Arteta's mind, to be fair, in Arteta's mind, I think it's probably Saka, Willian, and then Pepe, if I'm honest. I don't think Arteta rates Pepe at all. Because even if you look at the West Brom game, we were 4-0 up, and he brings Willian on instead of Pepe. So that's when I saw that, I was like, hey, I don't know.
That's the game to bring on Pepe.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I think personally, the writing's written on the wall for Pepe. And I heard someone make a good point as well on Twitter. I saw someone made a good point on Twitter. I need to start remembering these accounts so I can credit them. Actually, apologies whoever you are who wrote this. That if you look at the Premier League generally, in terms of attackers, none that have been spent in terms of big money attackers have worked out well. Generally, across the board in terms of the big teams, obviously you've got your Pepe, you've got your what's his name? Sorry,
Havertz.
Yeah, I guess Well, to be fair, I think Havertz potentially could. Him and Werner potentially could.
I think he will.
Yeah, I think more. So even Paul Pogba. Morata when he came to Chelsea as well. There was quite a few. I need to find the tweet again. There was quite a few.
When Torres went, he didn't work.
Yeah, there's quite. Yeah, Lukaku's another one. There's quite a few that he named that were massive money signings. But I think just due to the expectation that comes with that massive price tag, you can never realistically live up to that. Obviously, unless you're Messi or Ronaldo, that's just completely different breed. But anyway, going a bit off topic. But yeah, I do. Sorry?
You said because it wasn't the deal that they pay in installments, so they'd be like, so we want to return this now.
I don't know what they agree. Yeah, it is paid in installments. But yeah, I don't.
Bought, though.
Just give them
You
back.
can't just return.
Yeah,
Just give them back.
Get receipts. We got your receipts. But yeah, there's a lot of chat even amongst the fans that think that Arsenal are going to try and get rid of Pepe in the summer. Me personally, I don't know. I would like to see him come. I think there is a talented player out there, but then do I think he's going to come good at Arsenal? I don't know. Probably another team, to be honest. And
you don't think just sell him, sell Aubameyang, make a nice, fresh young team.
Do you know what, Nabi?
And Lacazette.
I would have sort of strongly disagreed with you before we signed Aubameyang. But obviously, hindsight is a beautiful thing. If you look at it, away from the emotion, right? In terms of just look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense to sign a 31-year-old and put him on 350k a week, regardless in terms of the output. It genuinely, especially someone who's on the decline physically. But yeah, I don't. Me personally, Lacazette is playing well at the moment, scoring for fun. Even if he continues until the end of the season, I still would want. I think that would be perfect time. Sell him. I wouldn't want him to tie him down to a new Premier League, to a new deal. Sorry, I would sell him. And then get, like you're saying, someone else. Me personally, I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. I would like Odsonne Edouard from Celtic. I think he would suit the type of football that Arteta wants to play. Sort of an interchangeable front three, because he can do that. Plays the target man or move across, coming in off the left. But yeah, I do kind of agree with what you're saying that we Arsenal at the moment, we have a lot of money tied up into the older players, which is a bit of an issue. But in terms of the performance against West Brom, I was really, really happy with it. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. Almost kind of like the Chelsea game. I honestly couldn't believe some of the interchanging, like you're saying, Shab, with Smith Rowe. We've got someone who's running beyond our strikers now, beyond Lacazette. And as you can see, it seems like Lacazette's coming to life with Emil Smith Rowe's introduction as well. Because looking at Lacazette's best years, it was when he had Ozu playing next to him and Ramsey. He had people that could run in behind him, people he could link up with. He's now able to sort of do that with Smith Rowe. And I think it was the second goal. Saka's...
The Saka goal.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, Wenger-esque,
That was old school Arsenal, wasn't
it? It was, honestly...
That was like that Wilshere goal, but that kind of
mold.
Style.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
In that mold, yeah.
Especially, sorry?
Just to rain on your parade a bit. Is this, I know there's the Chelsea game in there, is this the case of Arsenal turning things around, or is it a case that they've just beaten two teams in the bottom four? I know the Chelsea game's in there.
Do you know what it is?
Problems.
I get what you're saying, that raining. It's not like I'm expecting that all of a sudden we're gonna be in the top four. But if you look against Burnley, they beat us at home. That again, that's another team that we should have been beating. I can't remember at the top of my head the other ones now, but there are teams that we played that we should have been beating, but we were completely struggling to beat. So for Arsenal fans right now, it's just nice to play the way a big six club should be playing against the so-called lesser teams, to dominating them and making them look like, okay, there's a huge gulf in class between the two of us. That's how it should look. That's how it generally the game should go. But as you know, recently, before the Chelsea game, that's not what was happening. It was far from it, completely the opposite. So I think Arsenal fans are well aware that there's still problems at the club, but it's just nice to just have that winning feeling again, to finally be looking up instead of looking down. So yeah, I don't get. Some might be getting carried away on Twitter, but you guys know me. I'm not sort of gonna get sort of carried away and think, oh, all of a sudden we're gonna finish top 4 because of 3 games that we've played.
It's not. Well, Partey's coming back top 4.
Exactly. That's the once Partey gets in, that's it. Top 4's locked down. I'm joking. But then that's another thing, is we're playing well, and Partey is still to come back. Obviously, that's gonna give us more solidity and security. But yeah, it's looking a lot rosier at Arsenal at the moment than what it was, say, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Amazing what 9 points can do. And as I was saying to Shabs earlier on, we're only 10 points behind them now. Do you know, like, I'm not saying that as in like, oh, we're going to challenge or anything. Like, it's just crazy looking at the league right now to think between 11th and 1st, it's only 10-point difference. It's absolutely ridiculous. The way it was, we're only 3
season,
points behind Chelsea.
Point, we had like 13-point gap to second last season.
Exactly. And we're only 3 points behind Chelsea
13
now.
points will take you to like bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
So it shows a lot.
It's absolutely crazy this season.
It's for general fans, like, this is what everyone's wanted the Premier League to be.
Yeah.
In a way.
Especially for the so-called lesser teams. It'll be refreshing for them. You know, they're not getting turned in inside. But you know, I genuinely think the preseason had a lot to do with this. The way things are turning out.
Preseason, COVID, all that kind of stuff. So it has affected everything. Yeah.
But But yeah, for me, I'm just happy that, you know, things are finally looking a little bit rosier at Arsenal. And yeah, I guess now moving on to Liverpool.
Previews of the next.
No,
sorry.
he probably doesn't.
Well, I guess moving into that, how does it feel that Arsenal could beat West Brom 5-0? The week before that, Leeds beat. No, was it 4-0?
4-0.
Yeah.
Leeds beat West Brom 5-0 the week before, but Liverpool could only manage the 1-1 draw.
And Sam Allardyce's first game was Villa, and Villa won 3-0.
And that as well. But
yeah,
Liverpool couldn't beat them.
We couldn't beat them. We've been playing poor, like, since the Palace game. It's just been awful. Like, I would say the West Brom game was quite bad. And
what do you think it is? Sorry, before you go into sort of the detail, what do you think it is? Like, what do you think? Obviously, I get it, the centre backs, but
a lot of things. I think the fact that Jota's out and we're not able to rotate the front three, like the front four that it became, with Jota's form that he had, I think that's part of the problem. I think the fact that the back line is changing every week. I think we've had like 11 different partnerships in the back, in like how many games it's been. So it's constantly changing. Like, everyone always talks about the back four or wherever, the back two, the centre back pairing is always to try and make it stable, and we're literally changing it every week. So that's not helping. Then that's obviously affecting the midfield rotations as well. So it's a lot of things, but the teams we do put out, we should still beat these teams. And that's another part of the problem.
Surely that rotation one isn't. Surely you can't put that on Jota. I mean, you've got Shaqiri, Origi, Minamino.
Shaqiri's just come back. Origi's not good enough. Jota was brought in to be not just backup, but be of the same level, or potentially be of the same level. We obviously didn't think he'd come in and score. Like, he scored 9 or something already this season. Like, we didn't obviously expect that instant impact, but he was brought in because we needed better backup or better impact from other players apart from the front three. Like, it was completely relying on the front three to do everything, and we needed someone outside of that, and that's what Jota was there for. So, and Shaqiri's been injury prone, so it's no help. So injuries, there's been a lot of injuries. So yeah, the performances haven't been great. The Newcastle one, what I would say is, we played defensively. We actually did okay. It was for that game alone. It's one of those games that we didn't play amazingly well, but last season we would come away with a 1-0. Like, Salah would have scored one of his chances.
I was really annoyed with Salah. Like that, especially that one. To be fair, actually, I won't be too critical on Salah. That was a great save by Darlow. Like that.
But that
Sometimes,
first one on
so,
one, that
yeah,
was a very good save.
yeah.
The second one where he cut inside onto his left and hit it wide, and then
Oh,
Darlow
yeah,
just
fair.
stood still.
Fair,
That
fair.
one was poor. So that's the one I think like
He would have
normally
scored that.
passing that into the bottom corner. So and we would know last season we would take that one chance. Like if it's a tight game, we're taking that one chance and we're winning it 1-0. This season it's not happening that way. And obviously like games like the West Brom, we're not able. I don't think there's the confidence to hold on to a 1-0 anymore like there used to be. I just don't think there is any there anymore, and that's the problem with the fact that we don't actually have centre backs. The Southampton game, what I'd say about that is the positive, if there was one, was that Thiago got 90 minutes in, so he obviously needs to get his match fitness back. So the main thing is the fact that he was able to get some minutes on the pitch.
I was expecting you guys
We're not expecting him to come in and be perfect.
I was expecting you guys to create chances left, right, and centre with your new signing in place.
Well, we will, but he's literally been injured for 2.5 months.
Sorry?
You don't expect anyone to come back.
It was fouls left, right, and centre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To be fair, he was poor off the ball, like in a defensive position.
To
like
be fair,
defensively,
obviously I'm bantering.
Ball,
it's going to take him a minute to catch up to match fitness and sharpness. So in terms of like the fouls, and I would say that's probably expected.
Like you can see what he's got. It's just obviously not fully there yet. And he normally, I think in Bayern, he used to play in a 2. There used to be one player who used to be more like a Fabinho type. And then he would be like there next to them, doing more of the spraying type. Like, he can put tackling and put challenging and that stuff. Like I don't think he has any issues in the physical side of the game.
No,
I don't think it's his game. Well, we all know it's not his game. His main thing is the way he passes the ball. But obviously Fabinho's having to be our centre back this season. But yeah, like Southampton scored a very good goal really early on. Trent's mistake, and then Ings' great finish.
Trent was
much else
awful last night. To be fair,
great finish.
What was that? So
he's really bad. There was that stat of 38 missed passes,
lost possessions.
Like record.
Well, it's a record in this season. That's the most. That's the most someone. I think the record in total is like 42, but I can't remember who it was. But yeah, in terms of this season, he does now have the record for the most misplaced passes or possession turnovers.
And I don't know. I don't think he's been the same, and I don't know if that's because there's not the same trust within the back four in that same way. Like,
do you know what I
have him, Gomez, Van Dijk, and Robertson.
What I personally think is he's the. Excuse me. The teams now are not as scared of you because you don't have Van Dijk. So teams are attacking you more, and that's exposing his. We've always known that Trent is not the best going backwards in terms of defending. That's now, I think, it's exposing him a lot more. The fact that teams are attacking you a lot more now because, like I said, they're not afraid. They know that now without Van Dijk, there's a possibility that they can get through you. You know, they can get through your defense. So the fact that teams are attacking you more, it's making him look worse in terms of defensively, because the fact that you're struggling going forward now as well.
He's looked quite bad defensively.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The fact it looks worse now. Sorry?
I was going to say, mentally for him personally, I feel like there's a sort of edginess about, a bit of nervousness about his play. It just feels like he's as much conscious about trying to defend as he is about going forward. Like, I just don't think there's that balance anymore on that side of the pitch. And I think that goes right through from the right centre-back, who's either Nat Phillips or Reece Williams or this time Jordan Henderson, all the way up to Salah. Like, that side of the pitch, it seems to be a real struggle. And then on the left-hand side, I thought actually Mane and Robertson actually had a good game in terms of they're both very threatening going forward. Mane had his... It was a good battle. Like, I wouldn't say... You can say Walker-Peters won that battle, but I think Mane had his moments and so did Walker-Peters. Like, it was just a good out and out battle
He's a
between the
good
two.
one-on-one. I didn't know that he had that in him. He's a good one-on-one defender, Walker Peters.
Look, Mane
Yeah.
did get past him a few times, and there was some times where Walker Peters got in ahead of him. So
No,
I felt like
yeah.
that was just in general a good battle between the two.
I would say it was fairly
and
pretty
we're just
even.
not,
to be fair.
we're just not making our moments count anymore.
I was going to
it's
ask
just not working.
one thing I noticed yesterday. I don't know why or if it's a mentality thing. Some of your players were getting in really decent situations to shoot, but then they're opting to pass. Even Mane, the amount of times he got into it, like, I'm not saying he's going to score, but at least just shoot. You never know what that happens. Forster hasn't played in a long time. He'll probably spill it from the spillage. Something could happen. But it seems like instead of shooting, they were looking for each other, trying to set each other up, almost for like the perfect goal, like just a tap in.
They're
almost
trying to find a chance that would be 100% goal rather than taking moments that come about, and maybe someone gives them a little bit of space just outside the box and just take it and go for it.
Because there was a time when Salah was in the box and it looked like it was about to shoot. And then he passes it to Mane. I'm like, what are you doing? And then Mane, the same thing, it cuts in and then goes back out wide again and then chips it in as a cross with his left foot. I'm like, but you cut in. You could have just tried to bend it around that kind of thing.
That final moment for probably the last 3 games, 3 games has not worked. Like, there was one chance where Salah did like the perfect pass right inside the box, hold the ball to Robertson. Robertson on his left foot. If that's Salah, he pings it and tries to smash it in the other side. Robertson tried to look for someone.
Oh, I saw that.
Probably should have just gone for it.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's almost like
these moments just aren't working.
It's almost like you used up all your shots at goal and on target against Crystal Palace, because you near enough scored with every shot. Yeah, you scored near enough with every single shot you had to Palace, and then since then, like you're saying, you've sort of been struggling in front of goal.
But they'll. I don't know. It's just been like, I don't know if it's mentality. I don't know if it's all the injuries. I don't know if it's a bit of everything. But it's gone a bit stale at the moment.
Do you still think Liverpool win the league?
Doubts are creeping in, but I think my doubts are still at the point of, if we don't sign a centre back, we're not winning the league. If we do, I still think we win the league.
Yeah,
I think a centre back tips it that much.
Like we discussed earlier on today, I think you probably should look for like a starting centre back now, like a Upamecano, for example. Sign him now, and then sell Matip in the summer, and then, like you said, then get someone else, like someone to either compete or sit on the bench. Offers is still competent enough to get into the first team if needed in the summer.
Yeah. Definitely. Klopp's comments on it has been obviously, I know he's mentioned finances. He's mentioned if the right player's available, possibly go for it. Like, there's not much said on it, but Klopp never says much on it. Like, I don't think we were ever buying Thiago until he actually signed the papers. You know what I mean? So you never know. But yeah, like, I think it's obvious we need a centre back, and I don't know if Klopp's putting Henderson at centre back, kind of his indication to FSG watching, being like, look, I'm having to put another midfielder at centre back. And obviously I was seeing the messages like during the game. We ended up, when Milner came in at right back, when Milner came in at right back, we ended up with 3 central midfielders in the defensive 4. Madness. Like,
but I didn't get that substitution. Like, I get it, Trent has been poor, right? But you need a goal and you're bringing in Milner?
Yeah, at this point, we should have kept Trent on, and then, like, if we lose a goal, we lose a goal, but we needed to go for it and maybe take someone else off and go for it. Maybe even take Genie off or something.
Yeah, that one was a bit bizarre for me.
And then the final corner annoyed me because everyone thought it should have been game over, but he gave us the corner. You know, the moment you kick it, it's a possible chance he would automatically blow his whistle. You put it straight in there, like,
and then they took a short corner.
I don't know. I think Robertson went over to take the corner, knowing that that's what he needed to do, and Mane suddenly passed to him. I think that's what it was, because I saw Robertson complaining to Mane, like, after the whistle went, like, what have you just done? So I think Robertson knew that what he needed to do, but I think it's like second game running where that's happened, where we know like literally final throw of the dice, and we've actually just for
Taking the
whatever
wrong
reason
decision.
we've decided to pass, not get it in there. But yeah, we got to try and go for win. But the only hope is obviously the next game is United, which is ages away, and we seem to turn up for the big games, especially this season. It's the big games that we're actually performing in, so that's my hope.
But going back to what you said about Klopp, why does Klopp need to send a message to FSD? Because usually managers do that when they're not,
they're not being
having
supported.
disagreements with the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he has been supported, but he I don't know if it's a message to FSG, but like, why are you putting Henderson at centre back? Like, it clearly shows he doesn't trust the other two. So if he doesn't trust the other two, he clearly wants a centre back.
I think he probably wanted Hendo's leadership. I think he wanted Hendo's leadership in that back line because I think the thing is he knows Ings inside out. So he probably wanted someone to keep a hold of Mings.
But he's still not a centre back. That's my point. You can have Henderson on the pitch and just cover, but he's just not a centre back. And you're still taking a lot away from Henderson by putting him there. Like, to expect him to line up next to Fabinho, like we're talking another central midfielder next to him. It's not even like Henderson and Van Dijk, where you can make it work. It's like it's Henderson and Fabinho. Like he clearly knows he needs a centre back. I just think he's in a position where he would only make that signing if it's the right one. It won't be a panic buy. It won't be like throwing money out there and hoping for the best.
Are the youngsters in that poor? Because were you not saying that Klopp's the best coach of youngsters?
Reece is actually very good, but I think with defenders, it's actually you need age. Like defenders is one of those positions you need them.
To be honest, because it's the same thing. Looking at Arsenal, we bought in a defender centre back, 27 million. Pounds, and Arteta still he said nah, he's not yet ready. So I think with centre backs, especially like what it's a sensitive position to put in a young defender there, because I think we discussed this in one of the prior pods that it could potentially ruin that player's career if he has a shocking game. Yeah,
and defenders youngsters make mistakes, like no matter what they will, and you'd rather make those mistakes further up the pitch than. Even the best like players, like Greenwood's had his moments. Like Greenwood's been unreal, Foden's been unreal, but they've had their moments of error. If that's a centre back making that error, that could be a goal. If it's Greenwood making an error, it's a missed chance. You know what I mean? Like you can't expect Klopp to put a 19-year-old week in week out into the centre back position. That's the problem.
Yeah, fair. I guess now. Moving on,
you guys can review.
Yeah, Shabs has not got. Liverpool have not got a game next week, so just to quickly start off with the Burnley United game, Tuesday the 12th. How are you expecting Burnley to line up? Manchester United to line up, Naby, and Burnley seem to have picked up a bit of form lately as well.
Have they?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. What you see is Burnley picking up form. I can't even see Burnley. Oh.
They didn't play against Fulham, remember?
Yeah.
That one got postponed, so you'd have to look before that.
So that was a 1-0 win against Sheffield United.
Yeah, so in the last 5 games, they've got 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. So that is a decent form, to be fair, for a team in that position.
But Burnley's really only threat is in the air. I mean, have you ever seen them score a goal on the ground? I'm sure all their goals have been headers or in the air.
I guess what we're talking about is neither here nor there now. I was just saying they've picked up a bit of form. How do you think Manchester United were lining up? That's what the question was. I never said that they're going to beat you, they're going to defeat you. I was just saying they picked up a bit of form.
For Burnley, yeah, but I think that form is based on them scoring goals in the air. So if United can nullify that threat, and then all they need to do is just get themselves 1 or 2 goals themselves, and the game should be won.
Because the thing is, they're not conceding a lot of goals. Like, they're not scoring, fair enough, but they're not conceding a lot of goals either. Because looking at their 5
defensively, aren't they?
last 5 fixtures, they've They beat Arsenal 1-0. They drew with Villa 0-0. They beat Wolves 2-1. They lost to Leeds 1-0. And they won against Sheffield 1-0. So they're not conceding a
I think
lot of
Leeds
goals.
is a good pointer because Leeds are pretty much all out attack. We all know how they play. So
Yeah.
1-0 to Leeds isn't actually, like, it shows they're pretty solid defensively. And that Tarkovsky-Me partnership is doing well this season with Pope behind them.
Yeah, Pope's hard. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be a big 3-4-0 win. All they need to do is nullify the air threat and just try and nick a goal, and then they should see them through.
Yeah, and then just throw a penalty in there.
That's how I see them winning it. It probably will be a penalty. It'll be like a penalty in the 85th minute or something like that. I don't know. Rashford goes down.
Who's going down this time? Who do you think goes down?
No, not Rashford. Sorry. I'm gonna go for Penalties. He's gonna dive, and then they'll get a penalty, and then yeah. And
maybe 3 points clear at the top.
I guess moving on.
Do you think their focus will be? Quick question: do you think their focus will start going towards Liverpool? Do you think that focus will start creeping in during that game? Because obviously, in the build-up to Burnley, you got Liverpool straight after. Like, do you think there'll be any thought in that?
It'll be interesting also to see how you guys cope with the pressure, because obviously the players will go into the game knowing if we win this game, we go top.
Or becoming the team to beat. Not an easy position. You've not done it for 8 years.
That was the same with the Aston Villa. The Aston Villa was win that game, go level on points.
Yeah, level is not exactly top.
Going ahead, yeah.
Going top is going top.
Is the most they could have got to. Yeah,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The pressure here is slightly different, though. The pressure here is slightly different. You are now going to be top. You're not just going to be, okay, cool, we're level with Liverpool. Now you are the top team in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, we'll find out how they take it on. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you're becoming the team to beat. Remember, you might go into the Anfield game as the team to beat, like the team expecting to win. Imagine.
But
yeah.
Well, I don't think that would change off one game unless they really put a hammering on to Burnley.
Like, could you see Bruno coming off after like 60 minutes? Just
if they're winning, he has to. He has to. If I was a United fan, I would be demanding for him if they're leading.
He comes off like Even when they go to rest him, he comes off at like 85th minute. You just think, what's the point? You've not actually rested him.
Yeah, I think Solskjaer's doing the opposite of what I would, because what I would look to do is rest Bruno and only bring him on if we needed him. Well, he's doing the opposite. He's starting Bruno, hoping that they can get to a point where the game's won and he can take off Bruno. But because the games are so tight, he has to keep him on longer.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Interesting. And then Arsenal, they're at home to Crystal Palace, which will be very, very... I'm not looking forward to that game because I do think Palace pose a huge threat as well, and they just
Eze, isn't it? Eze poses the threat.
Well, Zaha as well. Zaha loves playing against
Eze
Arsenal.
Is more influential now.
But in terms of
really
against Arsenal, Zaha loves playing against Arsenal. Like, obviously, him being an Arsenal fan.
True.
Eze used to play for Arsenal as well. He got released by the Arsenal youth team.
He's so good watching him play.
So
he's much, but like he can carry the ball so well.
He's another one. I think could potentially have an absolute stormer against us. Those two. That's for me. I think that's going to be a tricky game. But with that, it kind of depends, because I think Thomas Partey is back in for the Newcastle game in the FA Cup. Hoping to see him get a few minutes and then see how he's feeling ahead of the Palace game. But if he's still sort of feeling his way back in, I wouldn't want to.
I guess you're not under the pressure anymore, are you?
No.
That way.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to rush him straight in. So yeah. Yeah.
I guess the confidence is there now, though. Like, you'd expect to win.
No. No.
This is what I was saying but would you not expect to win?
This is what I was saying to Nabi, that, you know, though we have won the last 3 games, I think a lot of, I can only speak for myself. I still have a lot of reservations as to how we're gonna play and whether we'll win or not. Once we start getting, you know, if we get to sort of 5, 6, 10 games unbeaten, that's when I'll be like, okay, cool, Palace, yeah, we should hopefully win that game. But at the moment, it's only 3, and yeah, the confidence is there, but I still feel like it's still very, very fragile. But yeah. So I guess before we sort of finish off, just to get a quick round up on predictions on those 2 games, Shihab, we'll start with you. In terms of
Do you want to give it for both?
Yeah, so for the Burnley versus Man U game, what's your score?
I'm going to give it as a 1-0 to Manchester United.
And I'm going to go for a 2-1. To United. I was trying to decide whether 2-1 or a draw, but I think 2-1 to United. And Nabi?
1-0 United.
That's all he needs. So it's good. To be fair, that's all United need. It doesn't have to be a great performance or anything.
Yeah, it's basically just get a win, don't get injured.
Yeah. So for the Arsenal game, Nabi, start with you.
2-2.
Shubs?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Arsenal.
I'm going for a 2-2 as well. I'm sitting on the fence with this one. I'm not confident at all. And sorry, one thing I forgot to ask, Shabs, your player to watch for you. I'm going for Penandes.
Yeah, same. Bruno.
I'll say Rashford.
I would go for Saka, but since I haven't been going for him, we haven't been doing it lately. I'm not gonna go for him and then jinx him to play, because every time I've went for Saka, we've not played that great. So I'm actually gonna go for Martinelli.
You were saying he's not going to play great now?
No, I'm just saying my hoax is with Saka. Every time
you're better off just saying Eze. Making sure that he doesn't play well or something.
Shubs.
To be fair, you did put a draw, so you could have put a Crystal Palace player.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Smith Rowe.
Nabi.
I'll go Saka.
That was definitely in the hope that he's awful.
In the hope, yeah, but he has actually been playing well, getting points.
It was actually quite refreshing now to see Arsenal players being mentioned, because I'm sure like you guys follow the Fantasy Football page on Twitter, to see them mentioning Arsenal players. I was like, oh my goodness, Arsenal players actually exist in fantasy football. But yeah,
now they're doing well.
I guess that's that. In terms of that, I'll just briefly, there's a lot of games that are not being played, so it will be free hit, which I could potentially be tempted to bring in Lacazette or Saka.
Or both.
We'll see.
It's a free hit.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, on that note, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, our socials will be in the descriptions below, so please make sure you follow, you like, and you interact. Tonana.